Short season, swimsuit season, short skirts. We want to firm and tone the backside. And I love this pose, it really does help. This is something you can do anywhere. And like most of the things that I teach in my videos, it's anything you can do, whether or not you are a yogi. You can do this at home, you can do it barefoot, you can do it at the gym, with your tennis shoes on, after a workout, like however you want to add it and incorporate it into your fitness routine, you're able to do so. You don't need anything special at all. I'm on a yoga mat, you don't need to have one for this pose. This is a standing pose, and like a lot of things with yoga, you're working with your own body weight, so you don't need anything special. You're going to stand, and it is a balancing pose, so you're going to work this pose standing on one leg. If balance is an issue, I know it's something that a lot of us don't practice regularly if we don't go to yoga all the time. My advice to you is to find one focal point, something that's still and not moving, and look at that. And make sure that you breathe. Okay, a lot of times in balancing poses, we hold everything, we tense, and we don't breathe, right? And that's counterintuitive to yoga, which is another video, another lesson. But regardless of whether or not you practice yoga, you don't want to forget to breathe, even though you're balancing. Okay, but I do have a little tip that's going to help you cheat if balance is really an issue. So you are going to start off shifting all of the body weight into one foot. And you want to spread the weight evenly between the big and little toe knuckles and the outer and inner edges of your heel. And try not to grip too much with your toes. You just want to think that you're spreading the body weight evenly. Okay. You're going to bend your standing leg, cross your other leg over. So if balance is an issue, you can cheat with a little kickstand. So I'm using the ball of my right foot right next to my standing left foot, like a little kickstand, to help hold me in place. You can still work the strength and the anti-cellulite properties of this pose without having to balance. But if you can balance, it will give you a little extra, and that is the integrity of the pose, is to work it as a balancing pose, so I would suggest that you try if you can. Okay, so you can start off working it as a kickstand. You're still bending your standing leg, still squeeze your legs together really tight and sit low. Okay, if you can balance, you can bend the standing leg, you just cross your other leg over, like we're all sitting around the table, talking, passing the wine, and having a good old time. Okay, still squeeze the legs together, sit really low. Okay, third option, if it's there for you, if you've got the flexibility in the joints, you can double wrap. So now instead of just crossing here, I'm pulling the foot to the other side of my standing calf. Okay? And that's the way I like to work the pose, but you take whatever version of it you need, and you might find that as you practice it, you start to switch between the different levels. Okay, so once you figure out where you need to be, and also know you can do this right next to a wall or a chair. So if you want to play with the balance instead of the kickstand, you can have that somewhere next to you to help you out if you need it. Okay. So once you figure out where you want to be as far as the leg placement, you're going to get there. You might find that your knees are shifting off to one side and your hips back to the opposite corner. You want to think that you're trying to pull it in straight, all towards the center line. So instead of flailing, pull it in. And then wherever you are, squeeze the legs together, sit low. Okay, that's what's going to get rid of the cellulite, is the squeezing and the sinking in your legs. Finally, you want to think, pull the low belly in. Okay, so no belly's hanging out. And then shift your tailbone down towards the mat underneath you. So you don't lift your booty back, you want to tuck it all in. Okay? So, once you get all of that under control, legs crossed, squeezing, center line, belly in, tailbone down, then you want to think shoulders in line over the hips. A lot of times, shoulders are forward and the butt's back. You want to think, okay, there's like a wall behind me, I'm lining it all up, and everything's squeezed in and tight, and I'm balancing here. Okay, so once you get that part of it down, then you get to play with arm variations. So you have a couple of different options here. First of all, whichever leg is on top, so I've been showing this standing on my left leg, right leg is on top and crossed over. That means my right arm is going to go underneath. So I can give myself a big hug here. All right, and I find that this arm variation is good if you've got a lot of tightness in the shoulders or in the neck, or if you're more blessed in the chest area. That sometimes helps to get out of the way that way. Your other option you really want to advance just the motions of getting into the pose, you can wrap it all together at one time, which will really challenge balance. Good. And just make sure that you hold it for an equal amount of time on each side. Maybe start by trying to hold it for 10 or 15 seconds on each side, and then as you work the pose and practice it more, you can increase it maybe up to a full minute on each side, or even more. So I hope that this helps. I hope that you love this pose as much as I do. And if you have questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments or send me a message.